All right. We're coming on a little bit early today. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're going to let people start to get in the room. I'm with Mr. Travis Mack, CEO himself. How are you, sir?
I am well. Hello, Eric. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. And today, where are you at located? Are you in Florida today?
I am in Florida today, but we'll spend most of the week in Florida and then head back out to California. And glad to be back. Last week was kind of a whirlwind. I spent one day in 2 days in Orlando. Hopped a late evening, almost red eye flight to Maryland. Um, Stayed in Maryland for roughly 10 hours. Left
Nice.
Maryland, jumped on a plane, headed to California, and
Nice. Nice.
spent a couple of days at corporate headquarters, and then came back came back out to Florida. So
Nice.
it's been a whirlwind tour this week.
I love it. Well, I mean, from my understanding, it's been a whirlwind October for you as well, right? So it's not going to slow up come next month for you either. Hey, what's your October looking like?
Oh, I don't even think I want to talk about that right now, to be honest with you. In fact, I wouldn't even know personally. That's
Uh,
Nancy tells me what to do,
Nancy tells you you're ready for
and,
October.
and then I show up. So I follow directions very well.
All right, that's good. And then you know what? By the way, just for everyone listening, I have to schedule his calendar just like everybody else. So I had to schedule this with Nancy to get on his calendar.
Nancy is my savior. Let me tell you, if I didn't have a Nancy, I'd be lost. You guys would see me walking around in the streets wandering. So
I love it. I love it. I love it. And then, well, I know one thing that you better be at October the 11th and 12th, and
I
so Miami. Whatever, regardless of what else you got going on, October 11th and 12th, I want to see you in Miami. That's one thing.
I'm gonna be there.
All right, good stuff. No, that's
I'm,
awesome.
I'm I'm excited about the conversation we're gonna have. I'm
Yeah, no, I
excited.
love it. And so again, today we want to give people sort of a preview of what's to come in our fireside chat. We're talking about Mr. Travis Mack himself. And so, look, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself for those people who don't know you, you've never heard of you before.
All right. Well, first and foremost, Eric and Govcon Giants, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate all that you guys do. But I'm Travis Mack. I'm the chairman and CEO for the Saalex Corporation and also for Valeo Networks. The Saalex Corporation is an aerospace and defense organization. We provide test range management, engineering, logistics, information technology support for the Department of Defense. I also run a commercial information technology company by the name of Valeo Networks, and we provide small business support, cybersecurity, network administration, support for small and medium-sized businesses, focused on their back-end infrastructure and maintaining that. And if that wasn't enough, I decided to go out and start a commercial real estate fund called Greenwood Self Storage Fund, where we are buying self storages in geographic areas and automating those self storages. So, having a good time, excited, and looking forward to the conversation, Eric.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. And so again, thank you everyone for joining us. By the way, as always, you guys know the drill. Make sure to put in here who you are. Tell us who you are. Tell us what you do, right? And then tell us where you're located if we can't see. And I know I see Kenneth already did that. Trike Energy Solutions, Oklahoma City, specialized EV charger stations, solar, wind energy. So thank you, Kenneth, for sharing that. But yeah, everyone, just put that in the chat, please, because as we're having this conversation, which Mr. Mack's pretty much going to guide it. But as we're having a conversation, I definitely want to know who we're talking to, because maybe there's something about his experience, his story that he could share that as it relates to those of you out here. So do that first and foremost while we're waiting for everybody else to get on board. So I'm gonna grab a couple of things we want to talk about, and I know he went through a really high level of the organizations that he runs and he starts. And so we'll jump back on that. But Travis will be here October the 12th, and so you can see him right on our home page. Look, Mr. Travis, right?
Don't make fun of the shiny head, okay? Don't do that.
So if you haven't already registered, make sure that you register and see us. We're actually going to be on the main stage, him and I, having a fireside chat. And so, we met. When did we meet?
It's
Has
been a
it
minute
been?
now.
It's been a minute. It's been a minute. I know.
It's been at least 3 years. I know it's been at least
Has
three
it been?
years. Right?
Yeah. I
I
mean,
think it's been
yeah,
3 years.
yeah. It's been a while now, and
Hmm.
so um, I'm gonna say this. So interesting enough, one of my uh, I met a lady at a conference, and she ended up doing a podcast with me, and then she ended up telling me about Travis, and then a friend of mine had recently met Travis, and he introduced us Patrick. So I just want to say that to people because that is the power of connectivity
Mm.
and connections. And so, having attended this conference, in fact, it was the Veteran and Business Conference. And so, when I attended that conference, I ran into Miss Daniels. Travis, you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about,
I do. I do. I do. I
right?
do.
And so she said, "You gotta meet this young guy. He's amazing,
Oh,
remarkable."
Miss Martha been doing this business. Oh my goodness. She is one of those icons that is a stalwart in this industry and has just been, listen, we stand on her shoulders and folks like Earl Jones and Ella Williams of Ager Systems and the whole 9 yards, Timothy Adams. Oh, I can go on and on. Cedric Knight, I can go on and on and on about these individuals that, for lack of a better term, gave me time, gave me part of their afternoon. Now I probably had to buy them lunch or something like that,
Uh,
right? But they gave me their time, and I got to tell you, that's when someone gives you their time, that means you mean something to them, and it's not it's not trivial by any stretch of the imagination.
Nice. So everyone, I know this conversation today is a secret to success in 60 minutes. So we're going to jump into it. I want Travis to talk about. He has these things called Mackisms, and so his Mackisms, which come. By the way, if you don't know something about him, he names everything after like kids, family. He cares about. So one day maybe he'll name something Coffee. I gotta do it maybe another 5 or 6 years, but maybe I'll get like the Kaufman Estates or something will be like in the name of Coffee when he builds out these mega mansion estates that he sells off. His private exclusive community would be called Kaufman Estates. I don't know. So Mackisms is something that he came up with. And you could tell us about Mackism. Why don't you tell us about what it is and what it
Sure, sure. Well, listen, Mackisms are basically, I was sitting around with my team, and they said, Travis, you have all of these statements, these quotes, and listen, I remember. See, my mother is from the South. Her name is Doris Jean Mack. By the way, I had to say it like that. My mother would kill me, but she
That's all
loves me.
right. Doris Jean,
Um, Doris Jean Mack,
say
and
hi to mom, Doris Jean.
hey, mama. Anyway, she used to have all of these things, and they were just things about life and little quotes here and there, and you know what, it just stuck with me. And so as I'm going through my business career, I just create these little quotes, just these little sayings, these little things that, kind of guide me and help me when I'm going through good times, when I'm going through bad times, or I'm trying to be positive. All of those kind of things help, because being an entrepreneur, let me tell you, it isn't for the faint of heart. And you need a whole bunch of self-support, external support as well, but you need a whole bunch of self-support. And Mackisms is just my way of sharing with people some of the things I think about and how I get from one day to the next in a lot of cases.
Nice, nice. And so let me real quick because I do want to just set the stage, right? For those of you who didn't quite get the introduction at first, or all right, I'm just pull someone's company website. Where Travis actually founded the organization. He's now got the chairman of Saalex. I did not know what chairman meant before I met him. I heard these words thrown around. But a few years ago, last year, Saalex acquired an IT services company for $30 million which took Saalex to over the $100 million mark. And so, in addition to that, he mentioned Valeo Networks. They're now ranked number 2 on the 2022 CRA fastest growth list. And he's doing a lot of acquisitions in that company as well. So he's chairman of one, CEO of the other, and then the self-storage fund, which he's building that organization out on top of the foundation, in addition to running these 2 large organizations. So I just want to set the stage for who we've got on the call today, so everyone knows that sometimes knowing the credibility of the person makes the information a little bit more valuable. So, I mean,
listen. I'm not going to tell you anything that I haven't been through.
so, and Saalex, tell us about the name Saalex. Where did it come from?
Well, Saalex is a combination of my kids' names. My son's name, my oldest son's name is Sage, S-A-G-E. And my daughter, my daughter's name is Alexia. And so I just combined the 2, Sage, S-A, and Alexia, A-L-E-X. And that's how I came up with Saalex. And it's not some fancy algorithm. It's not some math quote or anything like that. It's just something, that was near and dear to my heart. And it made sense at the time. So,
all right. So today we're going to get into his Mackisms, and he's going to tell us about some of them and how you can apply that to your life, right, based on some of his experiences as well. So the first one that I have on here is called "Grip the Wheel Tighter."
Yep. So grip the wheel tighter, and you know what? I think it is applicable to the time that we're in right now. Interest rates have increased. Lending standards have tightened. Business environment has gotten a little bit more difficult to navigate. And grip the wheel tighter is something that I came up with. I was talking to my mom.
Okay.
And you know how your mom is driving or your dad's driving, and you see them crunched up, and you see their hands, and they got their hands right there, and you just see them grip it. And I'm like, Mom, why are you gripping the wheel so tight? And she says, well, I just want to make sure that I'm in the middle of the road. It forces me to slow down, and it forces me to pay more attention to what I'm doing, right? So I don't get into an accident. I would much rather go slower and get to the destination that I want to get to than to go fast. And I said, man, this lady, she is just full of wisdom. And so grip the wheel tighter for me means when you're in business owners thrive the most with visibility, when you can see things, right? When you get into climates where you can't see things, it's a challenge. And so grip the wheel tighter for me meant when the business environment changes, you need to grip the wheel tighter to force yourself to slow down, right? You got inclement weather. So you're going to slow down. You're going to pay more attention to, the things that are around you. You're going to really pay attention to your environment, slow yourself down, be more diligent in every action that you take with regards to running your organization. So that's what grip the wheel tighter means to me. You're gonna grip that wheel, you're gonna slow down, you're gonna pay attention, you're gonna do more due diligence, you're gonna know it's gonna take longer to do things and complete things because the business environment has changed. It's like the rain has started to come down even harder now. Right? So you gotta grip the wheel, slow down, and pay attention.
I like that. Now, you started in 1999, right? So from 1999 to we're in 2023, where has tell me a situation that you remember where the environment changed, where it caused you to have to grip the wheel tighter?
Yeah, well, listen, I will say there was a stretch that I was uncertain, a long stretch that I was uncertain.
Okay.
And I think everyone that was able to manage from 2008, I'll tell you, and then I'll go back and I'll tell you what all this is. 2008 to roughly 2013 were some rough times to be a you know,
Right.
it was really a difficult time to be a defense contractor. It was really a difficult time to be in the federal environment. So if I go back, 2008, that was what? That was the financial crisis, right?
Right.
World shut down, lending institutions stopped, right? So if you weren't trying to get prepared during that, right, you were setting yourself up for failure, right? Slow down, right? Start making sure that you're making really prudent decisions. 2010 comes, you know, we had to make a real tough decision. And I literally had to lay off. Well, I had to ask my entire staff to take a 50% cut in their pay. Yes, literally. Yes.
When
It
was that?
was it was in 2010.
Okay. Okay.
2010. Because 2008 the wheels are grinding to a halt. 2009, everything is still kind of working through. 2010, we really feel the impact of that. And I have to go in, and I remember being one of the most difficult days of my career is going in there and asking, literally, I think I had a staff of 25, 30 people at that time, and asking them to take a 50% pay cut. But I was honest with them. I told them what was going on. I told them what we were dealing with. I gave them as much information as I had at the time. And I told them, I understand if you leave, but here's where we're at. Here's what we think is going to happen. And if you stay, we're going to return everybody's salary and then some upon us getting out of this little challenging time. And so 9 months after that, 2011, right? We go into our 11, I think we won 11 contracts in a row with
Uh-huh.
Saalex.
Uh-huh.
And that was really, we won over $250 million of new contracts at that
Mm.
time. So it was a big deal. And those who stuck around, I do appreciate them. I think I lost one person, and I understood they had mortgages and everything else to pay. But that was one of those times that we had to grip the wheel tighter just so we could make sure we could survive to get to the other side.
I love that story. Wow. Wow. For those of you who didn't catch that, he said he had to ask his entire staff to take a 50% pay reduction.
Yep.
And
Yep.
how long before you're able to pay it back? You said 9 months?
Yeah, it took me about 9 months. We got into 2011, and then we had been proposing and doing proposals, and our pipeline was strong, and we had put some good stuff out there, and so we were able to reap the benefit out of that. But listen, it was some fingernail biting times. Listen, I gotta tell you, I was 90 days away from closing the doors multiple times,
Mm.
multiple times. And there was just something. I'd go to a conference and I'd hear some positive words. I'd meet somebody that would give me some positive words. And sometimes it's about faith. It truly is. It's about faith and trying to make some halfway decent decisions. I'm not saying you're gonna make all the right decisions, because you will fail, and I encourage you to fail. I do a lot of encouragement on failing. It's important. It really is. But those were some of the things that just kind of kept me going and kept me moving down a positive path.
Wow, that was a great one. All right. That was good. That was deep. That was deep. I like that. You
I
know,
got
make
more. I got more. I
you
got
got one.
more. I
Oh, that
got
was a good one.
more.
I like that. I like that. That was a good one. All right. The next one is build teams that outlast you.
Build teams that outlast you. Yeah, as you start to experience some success, we as entrepreneurs, we are type A personalities, and we got to be, we want to be at the forefront. We want to be in the mix. We want to be involved. We want to be engaged. And I'll be the first one to tell you that this is one of the hardest things that I struggled with. One of the most difficult areas that I certainly struggled with was trying to. You cannot scale by yourself, and you really got to get that through your head. You cannot scale by yourself. One individual can only do so much. You can only be in so many places. You can only, read and do so many things in a 24-hour period. So you have to build teams, but you can't be afraid to bring individuals around you that are better in areas that you're not. And it's counterintuitive sometimes, right? Because a lot of folks think that they got to be the smartest in the room. I never thought that. I always wanted to put the best person for the job in that position. And oh, by the way, you absolutely better be better than I am. Because if you're not, I can do it myself.
Yeah.
Right? And so I always thought about, okay, let me put the strongest talent in that role. And that's how you build teams that outlast you, because you put the best people in the role that can help you get to the end destination. And then you got to get out of their way, Eric. You got to get out of their way. You can't be standing over their shoulder trying to do their jobs for them. You got to put the systems in place, and then you got to get out of their way and let them execute on what you brought them on board for. And so that's what I mean when I say build teams that outlast you.
Getting out their way, I think a lot of entrepreneurs, there's two things that you said that I think a lot of us find difficult. One is finding that, that talent that's smarter than you in those areas. And then two, getting out of their way. I can tell you, getting out of the way is a struggle for me, because when you have customers and clients that are paying you, like you want to make sure stuff's being done, right?
Right.
So it's like, but yeah, I guess it goes back to encouraging failure, right? And so that
Yep.
they can grow as well. But tell us
If
about the
if you
first.
don't, yeah, if you don't get out of their way, then first of all, they're never going to grow, right? They're going to they're never going to grow within your organization. And then another important thing is build systems, right? If you're worried about it, right? And everybody, and let's be honest, everybody's always a little concerned about somebody coming in and taking their stuff and taking
Yes,
their business,
right.
right?
Yeah,
The whole 9 yards.
right.
You know how to mitigate that, right? Stop depending on the individual and build the organization around the system, right? The system is
Mhm.
always bigger than the individual. So you, as the leader, build the system, right? Build a system for which strong individuals will come in and manage and grow your organization within the system. So this is called working on the business versus working in the business, right? Build systems.
I like that. You said build systems. Okay. Right. That are larger than the individual. I like
Yep, that are larger than the individual. And then you don't have to worry so much about, an individual coming in and taking in your entire customer base and all of that, because, they can't do that because the system drives the process and the organization drives the process. When you're looking at companies are less valuable when they are run by a single individual. You realize that, right? When you go to whatever market or you're doing mergers and acquisitions, it is you discount organizations that have those stopgaps with one individual that is the cream of the crop, right? Is everything to the organization. Because what happens is, you're thinking that, hey, you know what, if I buy this company and this particular individual leaves, the value of that company leaves with him or her.
mm,
So if you want your organization to continue to grow in value, you have got to build your organization from a systematic approach, from a system approach versus an individual approach. No one person should be able to take down an organization. No one person should be able to, influence an organization to the fact to where, you're going to see a mass exodus of customer base or whatever.
I like that. I like it. By the way, for those of us who are just joining us, we're on today with Mr. Travis Mack, and we're having a conversation about secrets of success in 60 minutes. We are going through his Mackisms. Please follow him on LinkedIn. I dropped it in there. And on his profile, it's his IG if you prefer IG as well. So just want to share this. He's also going to
Yeah,
be.
follow me, follow me, follow me, follow me.
Hey, listen.
Follow me, follow me.
Hey,
Listen,
you
I give a lot of good information out, do I
know,
not?
oh,
I
you
give
give
a lot of good
amazing
information
information
out
out,
about
like, you
small
know,
business.
and so no, and one thing I will say to that point, he is insistent on giving out factual, actual information, real things, not just highlight real stuff. I mean, so I want to say that because we have these conversations, okay, privately, about making sure that, right, like putting out the information so all of you can have the real information that you need to be able to make decisions for your business. So that's why we're doing this. That's why he's going to be speaking at our conference in a couple of weeks because, in fact, I'll say this. And he said, don't make him a shiny head. But we're going to be doing a fireside chat. This is sort of a preview to it. And the interesting thing I will say is that he actually asked me if I needed help for the conference. And so he reached out to me and said, hey, do you need help for the conference? Would you like me to speak? And so listen, this can happen to any one of you out here listening, but it's not going to happen by you sitting behind a computer, only watching on YouTube, not engaging with customers, not participating out in the marketplace, not going out to see people, to talk to them, to let them learn about who you are. He's going to be at the VIP. He's going to be at the event, and he's a very personable guy. Okay, that's why I want you to see that about him. He's a very personable guy. So I just want people to know that because I think sometimes when we read people's profiles and their names, and we see, that they've got this big organization and they're running all this stuff, and they're acquiring companies, about a 30 million, like, when you see that, you don't get a chance to meet the person behind it and get to know their personality. And so, especially a lot of underrepresented folks, we don't get to see that often, right? Not often enough. And so that's why I'm always happy to have them come back on and talk and share because I want you to see a human being behind this massive organization and meet the person who I don't know if he dreamed that big, but it came out. So, did you have was your dream that big when you started?
Never. Listen, honestly, I was just trying to create a paycheck for myself. I knew I didn't want to work for anyone else. I was just trying to create a paycheck. And I figured if I built it myself, I'd be able to, have a decent paycheck and be able to take care of my family. I never, had this vision of, trying to create $100 million organization. I never had this vision of, creating, a $20 million, managed service provider, an IT company. I certainly never had a vision of creating my own fund. But as you gain experience as an entrepreneur, as as a business leader, you start seeing things and you start figuring out, hey, you know what, if I do this, then I might be able to do X or Y or Z, and you start to expand your horizons because you're just introduced to more things. And so, no, I didn't start out to do this, Eric. It just um, led me in this direction. And I finally got to a point where I embraced it, because sometimes you keep asking yourself, can I really do this? And this is okay. I got to tell people, this is okay. It is okay to doubt yourself. I got to tell you, I doubted myself for years. Do I have the ability? Do I have the smarts? Do I have, I mean, you ask yourself these questions. And then you get to a certain point, you say, okay, I've done this enough. I think I got this. Now, you don't want to be arrogant about it, but you do want to have some confidence about what you're doing. And you got to start believing in yourself. Again, you need to have a good team. I do none of this alone. I do none of this alone. I'll be the first one to tell you this, but I focus on trying to build that good team and then trying to make some really solid decisions on the direction that we need to go.
And so the first lesson that we went over is grip the wheel tighter. The second Mackism that we went over is build teams that outlasts you. All right, the third one, discipline the ability.
Discipline. Discipline is one of those things that you have got to have. You need to have discipline. Uh, Discipline will force you to get up. Discipline will be embedded in you to do the things that you truly don't want to do. So I believe in having a discipline regimen. I believe in having discipline in how I communicate with people. I believe in having discipline on my health. I believe in having discipline in how I treat people. I think it is a staple of me as an individual, and I think that you have to have it as a leader. You can't be all over the place being a leader. Now, come on. Now, look, I don't care if you have your moments, right? We all do, and you know me, Eric. I love having a good
Yes, sir. I didn't know you.
time.
Wait, hold on,
but
wait. Listen, Travis, let me ask you a different question really quick. On that note, how many kids do you have?
I have six.
Okay, he has 6 kids, so we know he likes having a good time. Go ahead.
So I love having a good time. I do, and I love entertaining and having a good time with people. But when it's time for you to get to work, it's time for you to get to work. Listen, you had a good time. That was wonderful. If you got to pay the price the next day, pay the price. But you need to be at work. You need to be at work, and you need to be consistent about it. People do business with folks that are consistent, folks that show up. Show up. Show up. And part of showing up is being disciplined. Even when you don't want to go, even when you don't want to be there, part of that is the discipline that you have to convey. So
And
I
I'll say
believe in
that on
discipline.
the counterpoint, he also can text me at 6 a.m., 7 a.m. He knows that I'll respond
I,
back.
I told you that was one of the things that that gravitated me to you. I was like, and I get up early. Eric knows I get up early,
Right.
and I'm texting my folks on the West Coast. I know they just like me very a lot sometimes because I'm firing off texts and emails, and I forget that it's 6 a.m. over there,
Right.
but it's 8, and I'm just fine because I got to get it out of my head. and,
Yeah. Right.
so, and so my entire team tells me, yeah, we're used to receiving those 5 a.m. Emails from you, but it's always good, when you meet another individual that's up early. That's because I think I get a lot done early in the morning. I
Oh, I love
really do. I think nobody's bothering me. I can kind of get some thoughts in, and having the ability to be disciplined in your actions is part of that. And if I'm out, at this point in my life, if I'm out, way too late, then I can't get up in the morning, and that blows my day away. So I try to be disciplined in most of my approaches.
I love it. I love it. By the way, for joining us now, make sure, first of all, like Yvette said, hit the like button if you already hit the like button, hit subscribe button if you have not already subscribed. We're going to keep going through. We have 3 more. We're halfway through. Share now who you are. Tell us what you do. If you like this, let us know that you like this. You're enjoying the content. Let me know. I haven't seen any feedback yet in the chat, so I don't know who's going out there. 46 people watching live with us, but let us know if you're enjoying the conversation. Also, if you haven't already got your tickets to the summit, see you at the summit. Make sure you get your tickets. We'll see you there. Travis and I will be continuing the conversation through a fireside chat on the main stage, and he will also be there on the 11th in the VIP section talking. So grab him and be ready. He's done a lot of amazing things. He built up a company. He's doing acquisitions. He spun off another company that's now at $20 million, and he's acquiring firms in that group. And so I can tell you that our first interview, we postponed our first interview because of some of the things that he was doing that he couldn't talk about. So it seems like it's always something happening with him. He's got a very busy schedule, and so I appreciate the time that he's giving to us and sharing with us and being to be there today. So number 4, don't wait for the 100% solution.
Yeah. Number 4, I think is really important as well. There's no such thing as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as the 100% solution. And most people want to tend to wait until things are actually perfect. There's no such thing. You have to make decisions. You as a leader, your job is to make decisions, good or bad. Your job is to make decisions. And so you try to collect as much information, as much data as you possibly can, and then you got to make a decision. The worst thing I think is a leader that doesn't make decisions. And I find that to be very challenging. Make the decision. And if it's wrong, you know what? Throw your hands up and say, yep, you know what? Hey, made the wrong decision. My bad. Let's change it. And don't be afraid to change it. But you can't have analysis paralysis. You have to make decision. And you got to be okay with being wrong. You have to be okay with being wrong. It's all right. None of us, none of us, are going to get it right 100% of the time. But make the decision. And if it's wrong, change it and change it fast. Um, that's what I mean. Don't wait for the 100% solution. Because if you wait for the 100% solution, the opportunity has probably passed you by. You're probably looking at it through the rearview mirror. It's way back there somewhere. So you have to make decisions. So be comfortable with making decisions and being wrong and then changing them.
I think there was a story that you gave, and that particular mechanism. I remember reviewing it before this call today, and you said something that you gave an example where you had limited information, you made the decision. I don't remember the story, but um, is there a story that you can tell us about a time where that this happened, and then the result, whether it was good or bad?
Yeah, absolutely. Probably the largest contract that we won, I think roughly $450 million. We had to make a decision on who we were going to work with, and it wasn't it wasn't clear. It really wasn't, and we were looking for information. We were doing some things to try and vet it out, but we didn't have clear visibility on what was the right choice to make, right? But we had done enough research, we had done enough, we'd done enough homework, we had done enough visits, right? We had talked with these individuals, and so at the end of the day, we had to make a choice, and I labored over this, because if I make the wrong choice, we don't win $450 million, right? And so,
Right, right, right,
right, and if I wait too long, they're going to leave. They're going to go somewhere else, right?
right.
And so we made a decision, based upon as much information as we had, but we made the decision, and it turned out to be the right decision. But we certainly, after the fact, we went back and we said, hey, did you have any other options? They're like, yeah, if you guys don't make a decision within 48 hours of that, we're going somewhere else, and then there's no turning back, right? So those are the kind of things that you have to be cognizant of. And again, if you make the wrong one, change it, go in a different direction, but you have to make a decision.
What I like about that is, you're and for all of you listening, I know he says these things kind of fast. He said he wasn't certain on a $450 million opportunity. Some of you are debating over $4,000 opportunities. Okay, you're like, you're tossing and turning your heads over $4,000, and here it is. Someone who's been at this for 20 years is looking at the same type of opportunities and concerned about it. And so I just think that not sometimes, we all the times get inside of our own head, like
Hmm.
all right. Do you? And I know you said this earlier on the screen. Do you think that you have ever have imposter syndrome?
I'm sorry.
Imposter syndrome, where you feel like you don't deserve to be here. Like maybe like how did you get here? You said
Oh,
you didn't.
all the time, all the time. I think everyone comes um, who comes from humble means, humble upbringing, raised in little bitty East Texas, Long Beach, Texas, right? In East Texas, where the cows are big and the mosquitoes are bigger. And you always ask yourself that, do I deserve to be here? Why am I here? You always ask yourself that. And then you look back and you think about the sacrifices that you made, right? Because there are sacrifices to being, in these spots. And don't let anyone ever tell you that there's not. There are sacrifices. There are sacrifices being at school events. There are sacrifices within family. There are sacrifices within friend relationships. I can't tell you the number of friends that I've had to put on the sidelines because they didn't kind of match up to what I was thinking and what I was trying to do. And personal relationships as well, to be honest with you. in order to try and achieve a dream, achieve my dreams and what I'm trying to go after. And so yeah, you ask yourself that question all the time, and I think it's absolutely normal. I think it's absolutely normal. In fact, I'd be worried if you weren't asking yourself that. Yeah, I
Mm.
deserve to be here. I made all this happen, right? No,
Ooh, I like
none of
that.
that, none of that, none
That
of
that's a great way of saying that because no, it is. I like how you said it, and that by the way, look, you see why y'all have to upgrade y'all friends? This kind of friends. These are the kind of friends everyone needs in their life, right? But because he just stated it in a way that was like, oh, it opened my eyes. And by the way, it's interesting, Travis. We were talking about my lawsuit beforehand, right?
Mhm.
And what I didn't tell you was I was part of the Entrepreneurs Organization, which is
Mm,
over $1 million companies.
right.
And so at the time where I was dealing, like, I mean, again, I was, like I said, ready to close doors,
Yep.
lawsuit against me. I didn't know how I was going to get out of it. One of my millionaire friends from the Entrepreneurs Organization said, Eric, how much, is the lawsuit? And I said, I don't know. They haven't sued me yet. They said, so you're worried about something that hasn't happened yet? I said, "Have you stopped fighting?" Hey, look, hey, like, dang.
You're
I was
right.
worried about
You're
the threat.
right.
I was worried
Yes,
about the threat of a lawsuit, right? Like
absolutely.
paperwork.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So, so it's interesting. So they're like, nah, you already stopped fighting. If you're gonna be sued, right, you might as well fight
Eh,
till the end.
mm,
So guess what I did on one of the lawsuits, which that one was for like 700,000. The vice president of this company, I remember this. He told me, he said, Eric, why don't you call your insurance company and see if they'll pay like the lawsuit? And I was
uh-huh.
dumb enough to do it. I was like, all right, let me call the insurance company, right? I said,
Right.
hey, I got this pending lawsuit for
Uh,
700,000. I got a big insurance policy, which I'll pay it. And the insurance company says, no, we don't pay lawsuits, but we cover the cost for your attorney's fees. I was
uh.
like, well, hell, I'll take that. So I beat the lawsuit
Right. Right.
for $700,000 because my insurance company picked up the attorney's fees, and
Yep.
now I didn't have to worry about how long they drug it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so eventually, that company went bankrupt.
Mm-hmm.
My $700,000 lawsuit got settled for 5K, of which I only had to pay $2,000 deductible because it was against my insurance policy.
Right. Right. Well, listen, but you don't think about it that way if you're not talking to someone
I'm not talking.
that's challenging you. Put
Yeah,
yourself around people that challenge you. Do not be afraid. Put
yeah,
yourself around them. If anything, you're gonna get a new way of thinking about stuff. I love it. You know what? Listen, I, show me a different way to think about a problem. I'll take that any day of the week because I can use that. Show me a different way to think about things, and you
alright.
don't do that unless you surround yourself with folks that are gonna challenge you.
No, I love it, I love it, I love it, and, it's interesting, one more, story I'll share on the because I went through several lawsuits at the same time. I mean, they were they're all happening at the same time,
Yeah.
different places. The other one I went through, another one of the people in the group said to me that I said, "Well, it's like $200,000," and they said, "Well, aren't you planning to be a millionaire? What's 200,000?" He said, "You can finance that, right, and pay it with a job at Burger King if you finance it for 30 years on a mortgage." Hey, that's not a different way of looking at it.
Listen, you got to upgrade your circle. I'm sorry.
Hey,
I'm a
man.
I'm a I'm a big advocate of that. You continue, and not that you're going to forget about the folks that you were with, but you got to continue to try and surround yourself. You got to attend these events. You got to go where like-minded people are going. Everyone says I'm tired of going to conferences. Fine, be tired. I'm showing up. All right, fine, be tired. I'm showing up, and I am going to go surround myself around people that might lead me to some solutions, that might need me, or I may find out the way that they were doing it and then just copy them. Right? I mean, these things are vitally important.
Right. What's interesting is that, weren't aren't isn't Saalex still hosting conferences? Aren't Saalex still attending conferences?
Always, always. I'll be at one next week, probably. For
See?
sure. So
So for
I
everyone
expect.
else to sit back and think you're gonna get different results by doing different things, but we're sitting here saying, "This is what we do, and this is what works for us." By the way, I just wanna show something else with everyone. The people that are speaking at the event, the majority of those people I met at conferences. Like
Yes.
the people that I'm speaking with, that like my speakers are people that I've met. I mean, Muhammad Elias, I was on a panel with him in Virginia 2 weeks ago. He came in, reached out to us, and asked to sponsor and sit on a panel. I met him at a conference 2 weeks ago.
Right.
By the way, he just graduated from small business. He's got 600 employees, and he just surpassed the $100 million mark also, the Rely Group. And so I'm getting my same results by doing the things that I'm telling everybody else to do. And so Travis is confirming it as well. So,
Absolutely. Don't talk about it if you're not gonna be about it. You know me. Hey, listen.
hey, I
You
love it.
you
I
you,
love
you
it.
gotta you gotta do it. You gotta put the work in, and you gotta do it. You gotta execute. So
So, all right, number 5, success teaches you nothing.
listen, okay, this is really an easy one. It really is. All right. Look, if you are doing the same thing, right, and you're winning, right? What are you going to continue to do? Do
If you're
the
doing the same thing and winning, then you
same.
do the same thing because
Right,
you're winning.
right, right. So success actually teaches you nothing about trying to expand yourself and go in different directions and do different things. I have learned the most when I have went down in a ball of flames with, with no fire extinguisher anywhere, right? And I have failed miserably. I will tell you, I have failed at, wow, 4 different businesses. Let's see, Max Mobile Shuttle Service, ball of flames. Applicant to hire, ball of flames. I mean, oh my goodness. Wait. There's 2 or 3 more here that I have just went down, and but I learned a ton about business structures and risk management and business environments changing and people and the right teams, and which has propelled me in my other endeavors, right? And so the ones that I've failed at has really given me the momentum and the fuel to drive my other business in the right direction. Because here's the thing, you only need one, right? You only need one, right? And so I was never, afraid to try new things, because I honestly believe my failure has driven some of my successes. And so that's why I say success teaches you nothing, because you're just gonna keep doing it, and you're never gonna get out of that little box.
Right.
You're still gonna be the $5 million company
Yeah. Right.
that, or or the $1 million company, because that's gonna be the way that you do it.
Right.
And one of the things that I hate to hear is like, oh yeah, that's how we've always done it. It's worked for us. Dri-
Oh.
Drives me insane.
Oh.
Drives me crazy.
Oh.
I'm like, well, if that's the way you're thinking about it, okay. Now I smile. But then,
Right.
okay, hey, if that's the way you're thinking about it, but then, because I know I'm not going to move them off of their position. But you gotta, listen, you gotta try new things. You gotta innovate. That's where innovation comes from failure. You have to innovate. You have to keep trying new things. You know.
But but Travis, we don't want to make ourselves feel uncomfortable.
I listen. You as an entrepreneur, business leader, you've been uncomfortable your whole life.
All
You're
right.
okay with it. You're
You
okay
know,
with it. You're okay
right?
with it.
You
Be
know?
comfortable. In fact, I will tell you, I think the moment that you get satisfied, the moment that you get complacent,
Right.
is the moment that you start your decline.
Ooh.
And because you get comfortable with what you're doing, and then you're not adding value to what your customers want, right?
Right.
I mean, if you're providing a service and you're like, hey, my service is good, I ain't got to do nothing else, I'm straight.
Right. Right.
I have achieved the hilltop. Okay, fine. Ask Kodak, ask
Ooh.
Blockbuster,
Oh yes.
right?
Yeah.
The landscape is littered with companies that thought that they had innovated to the top, of their game.
Yeah,
So
I would actually challenge people if you want to his point, and I did this research. Go back and look at the S&P 500 list, like the last 3 decades, and you'll see a whole bunch of names that were there that are no longer
yeah,
there and
you're like,
fell
oh,
off.
I remember that company. Oh,
Yeah,
what happened to them?
right. Yeah,
Oh, listen, a failure to innovate, failure to change, that's the only constant in life is change, right? You got to be changing. You got to be looking for new ways of doing things. And so I'm a big
that's
advocate.
that's interesting. All right, number 6. I refuse to be outworked.
Well, I don't know if you know this, not Eric, but I played semi-professional football and had an opportunity to try and go to the NFL. And I had a scouting report. And it was like, scouting report said, too small, doesn't have closing speed. I mean, it was just a laundry list of stuff that was just bad about me, Travis Mack. Now I took this personally.
Oh,
Personally, I was like, this dude don't know me. He doesn't know what's in my heart, what's in my soul. And you know, that's where you learn to not be outworked. I, there's a lot of things that you can't control. Effort isn't one of them.
mm,
Effort isn't one of them.
mm,
So I say, look, if you're gonna beat me, fine. I'm okay with getting beat, but it's not because you put more effort into it than I did. And I know when I'm behind the curve. I know when I have to. Things don't come to me easily, right? So I know personally I have to put more effort into understanding and coming up. It takes me time to come up with new ideas. It takes me time to think about new scenarios. It takes me a moment. And so I got to put the work in. I got to put the effort in. When everyone else wants to go and do their thing, this is where that discipline comes in. When everyone else wants to go and have a good time, I got to say, my bad. Hey, catch me next time.
right, right, right.
I, I'll be over here at the office because I know that if I don't put that extra effort in, I'm not going to succeed. So you can beat me. You're going to beat me in a lot of areas. I know that for a fact, but you're not going to outwork me. I'm sorry. You're just not going to put more effort into it that I'm and that I'm going to put into it. And if you do, kudos on you, because if you do that, that means that you were burning some midnight oil and you were putting all that time in to make sure that you were successful in whatever means that whatever means that you wanted to be, you were successful. But I'm sorry. I take pride. You ain't gonna outwork me. That ain't happening. No, no. One more. No,
Mm.
no. I just can't.
That is you see the mindset of this is why we're here, right? So you can learn about mindset and understand about how people think. And so I love this conversation because again, I hear a lot of
Right.
excuses is the best word that I have for it, but from other people about why things are not working out, why
But
not working in their favor.
let me add to that just briefly, Eric. There are sacrifices. Okay, I got to tell you there are sacrifices um, that you have to sacrifice some things, and you have to make that decision on any anyone tells you that there's an even balance between work and home. It's 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 been a challenge. It's been a struggle, and I gotta tell you, sometimes I've chosen, to go out there and put the extra effort in. And so you have to be ready to make that decision. And there are sacrifices, whether that's going to be, in your personal relationships or whatever the case may be. There are sacrifices to this, and so this is not uh something for the faint of heart. So I'm just saying, I don't want to make it out to be all warm and fuzzy and roses and petals, because it's not. There are sacrifices to being disciplined and not being outworked, and then I just try to make up for it in other areas, because I know I'm deficient lacking in some of those areas.
You said that's funny that you said that you know that people are going to beat you, but they're not going to outwork you, and something to that effect, right? Why would you say that? We would most people think when they hear someone like yourself speak that like you have it all together.
I wish I did all the time.
People think like that's the presumption, right? Like, oh, he's built this organization, he's done all these wonderful things, he has it all together.
No, it's a constant, it's constant work. I keep working on it. And I'm really, still I still think I got some other stuff to learn. I still think I have some other things I have to achieve. Still think there's some areas that I need to get better in. And I to me, I'm not my at this point, I'm not my best self. And I think there's tons of room for me to continue to grow, for me to continue to learn, uh, for me to try to become a better person. I
Right.
mean, I think that there are just a lot of different areas that I can just continuous improvement. And I think I talked about a continuous improvement on LinkedIn posts here recently,
Mhm.
maybe from a business, but I just think we are all pieces of work that are trying to get better. And the moment that you think that you've achieved that is the moment that I think you start to decline. So now, Eric, I got a long way to go, brother. I'm I need work.
Yeah, you need work.
I need work,
You need work.
and I realize that.
No, I love it. I love it. So, real quick, everyone, if you have questions, please drop them in the chat. Again, I do want to be mindful of his time. so, and I know he's got some other things going on. In fact, we're going to be with his
Yeah,
team over the next couple of days. So,
yeah. We got
uh,
our annual reviews, and we're getting our whole team together, and we're talking about the business. And I would encourage all business leaders, pull your teams together. Try to put them in a room with each other because you learn stuff with an objective to make the business better. And we're excited to have these.
love it, love it. And so, again, here's his LinkedIn profile. If you haven't already followed him on LinkedIn, let's blow him up. We should take him past the 4,000 follower mark on LinkedIn. Uh,
Hey, there we go.
let's get it past it. You're at 3,500, so let's get him past the 4K mark on LinkedIn.
I would appreciate that.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll keep doing it. We'll push it. Make sure we'll push it past that. But no, actually, again, constantly sharing information, and then he does cool things like hangs out with cool people all the time, and goes to JP Morgan events with Jamie Dimon and all this kind of stuff. So he's always like in the room with people and the kind of people that right? He's
Got to be in the
always
room.
in the room. Uh,
Got to be in the room. Got to be in the room.
so
No one sees you standing in the corner. By the way.
oh, talk
So,
about that. Let's talk about that. That's a good point. Yeah,
that's another one of those Mackisms, right?
I didn't.
No one
Okay,
sees
well,
you in the corner.
all of them. I just want to get I knew we only had an hour, so I didn't want to go through all your mechanisms. But tell me about that. Let's talk about they don't want you shouldn't be in the corner.
No one sees you in the corner. And what I mean by that is, if you don't put yourself out there, no one knows you. And then when you get to an event, if you're standing over in the corner talking to the same people that you've already met a million times, that doesn't grow your circle either. You have to get out of the corner. You have to get out of your comfort zone. Yeah, it's uncomfortable meeting new people, but prepare yourself. Have a list of people that you're going to talk to. Right? Take 20 minutes of preparation to get ready to go to a conference, and I want to talk to these 5 individuals, and then search those 5 individuals out, and then do the receptions. Don't go back to your hotel room. You ain't got anything to do with your hotel room anyway, right?
Right,
Do the
right,
reception.
right.
Try to meet people, right? People will help grow your network. I know it gets tiring. Listen, my jaws hurt after an event. My throat is all crazy, but I am there to meet individuals that may help further my business. And so don't stand in the corner. Nobody sees anyone standing in the corner.
By the way, I did not mention this, but Saalex is a gold sponsor of our event. So not only did Travis, he's not just sitting here talking. He put his money behind everything he believes in. So Saalex is a gold sponsor, so they are sponsoring us. He's speaking at the event. I mean, I don't know what else to tell everybody. I mean, he's committed, right? So he's vested in us and our success, and so he wants to help us see us win. And
I want to see you win. You know that. We talked
yeah,
about that a million times. You got to
absolutely,
win.
we got to win. And so I just want to share that with people because again, sometimes you see things on the surface and you don't know what's happening behind the scenes. But no, it's not just we're here talking, joking, laughing.
Mm.
He said we're doing business and he's investing in us. And again, it's our first time event. So for anyone that's investing in us, trying something is like he said, I put them on an even higher pedestal because
Mm.
why? Like a lot of people say, well, let's see how it goes next year. We'll come in next year after we see it. So
Mm.
uh,
You got a
everyone,
couple questions. Look, you got a couple questions there.
right? Oh, questions coming up. All right, let's go with some questions. Let's see. When you first started in industry and you were a small business, how did you approach a large business that want to work with?
So when you didn't think that you brought anything to the table. So what I did was when I approached a large business, I had an idea of the vertical that they were looking at, and I had an idea of what they were chasing, of what they were looking at. And so when I approached them, I had a laundry list of what they were working on and the areas that we could fit into. So you have to do a little bit of homework before you approach them. Now you got to remember they do all these events and they go to all these places and they're talking to hundreds, thousands of small businesses. You have to do something, that distinguishes you. And so by you doing a little bit of homework, knowing exactly what they're doing and how they're doing it, gives you gives you the ability to be able to, ingratiate yourself to them. And listen, they always need small business, even if you don't have any technical prowess, right, in that particular area. They always need some of those socioeconomics. So whether you're woman owned, minority owned, SDVO, the service disabled, they always need to fill some of those socioeconomic categories. And so, play that card. When I went in first time, I didn't have much of a technical past performance. I talked about how I could help them fill some of their small business goals. And that's really how I did my marketing at the beginning. And then as I built the past performance, as I built the experience up, and then I coupled that with, hey, we can help you meet some of your socioeconomic needs in these certain areas, and then here are some of the things that we worked on in the past. So that's how I approached it. I did my homework. I knew what they were doing. I knew the programs that they were working on, and all that information is you can easily find that information online. All you need to do is do a little searching.
All right. Someone says I'll have to rewatch. Were the acquisitions done with OPM? This may have already been asked. I'm thinking other people.
OPM,
I
Upper
think
Month.
money.
Yeah. We have a private equity partner that we work with, called Siebert Williams and Shank, which is the largest minority investment bank in the country, and we work with them hand in hand with regards to the acquisitions that we conduct. So yes, and some of it is actually done by some of the banking relationships that we have as well. So we've used debt financing on a couple of other acquisitions. So combination between private equity and combination between bank and lending institutions.
Okay. Kenneth says, how has being a man of color and multiple means impacted yourself? How were you able to, with all genres of color, what was the hardest thing about getting a level where you were revered and sought out?
Well, I think that's a very interesting question, and I think what I try to do is I just try to give good people opportunities. I look back and I say to myself, man, I've made some good hires in my career, and I made some bad hires in my career. But at the end of the day, I really didn't pay a lot of attention to what what your race or what your ethnicity was. And I think that's a part of equality that I really like. I want your competency, right? Right. I want your competency. I want you to be competent in what you're doing. Do I think it has presented some challenges? Of course I do. I mean, but that's just life, and you have to figure out how to work through those things. And there are ways to work through them. I could certainly, um, rest my hand and say, "Oh, woe is me," but that's not my that's not my demeanor, and I wanna I wanna be able to try to do more things, and so take it with a grain of salt, and I keep pushing forward, my friend.
Love it. Love it. All right. I don't see any more questions in here. I think that you know what I find sometimes is when people like enjoying the conversation, they're just like listening and tuning in. And so that means we did a really good job of entertaining them tonight.
Outstanding.
You know. All right, well listen, I'm gonna let you run. I know your team and you gotta prepare for some stuff. So um, I'm gonna let you run, sir. I appreciate you, appreciate everything you do. Do you want to leave everyone with some parting words before you go out tonight?
Absolutely. Please follow me. I try to give out good business advice. And I'm not going to do a mastermind. I ain't charging nobody for it. I'm not doing that. I am going to try to give you some experience from me personally, and I try to convey that so you can use it. And I try to do it step by step. I think step by step conveying that makes it easier to digest versus me penning a book or whatever the case may be. So follow me on LinkedIn, Travis T. Mack, on LinkedIn, and follow me on Instagram as well, at travis.mac.ceo. And my parting comment is this: this is hard. Everything you're doing is hard. This is not for the faint of heart, and you have to make challenging decisions every single day. And sometimes I know the feeling, you don't want to get up out of bed. I've been there, done that several times. Um, but you have to find something. If you're truly committed to this and you truly want to do it, you have to find something. And that something has to be your motivation. Celebrate the small wins, because you need to celebrate those, because there will be more losses than wins. So celebrate those and keep putting yourself into positions to succeed.
There you have it. There you have it. Thank you, sir. I
All
appreciate your
right.
time.
All
And
right.
I'll see you in the next couple days. So
I'll see you next couple of days. Absolutely. Looking forward to it, my friend.
same here. Looking forward to it. So, all right. All right, everyone. Listen, thank you so much. And I will take your questions, Ebro and Kenneth, and I'll try to get some of those answered later on outside of here. But we're gonna shut it down for tonight. So, thanks,
All right,
everyone.
guys.
Have a great night. Love you guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye. All right. So, there you are. I thought it was a great interview, and looking forward to having a further our conversations. And we're going to be actually shooting some content the next couple days with his executive team. So we'll be doing that tomorrow for the next couple days. He's having his own internal leadership conference. So I hope all of you enjoyed it. I always learn a lot. I always like hearing the perspective of someone who, and again, I say this to people is if you're going to learn from someone, learn from people who are where you want to be at and where you want to get to. So um, I just wanted to say the kind of person that he is, like on the day of my birthday, like he called me to wish me happy birthday. And so I just want to say that about his character, right? And these are the things that you can't see that over like the internet. You can't see that over like Instagram or LinkedIn, right? And so coming into but asking me to speak at my event and then coming in and sponsoring a gold sponsor for that matter, not just throwing a couple $1,000, threw some real money at it, and so and then giving us an opportunity to work with his team. It's just been remarkable, and so I want all of you to have these experiences, and I don't know how else to give it to you other than introducing you to my network. I'm literally putting together this event to introduce you to my network. So I'm like people. Sasha says, "How do I set up a meeting with you?" You come to the event, right? Like this is how people meet with me. They come to the event and we talk, and I get to learn about them and what they do, right? So we're already going to be in places and spaces, and we're broadcasting that to the world where we're going to be at, well, it would behoove anyone to show up to those places and spaces and try to talk to us. So, but again, I understand. Um, we have, like he said, everything's a sacrifice, and sometimes, the financial commitments of it all. But I do see people spending their money on things that they're interest to them. So I see people, if one thing I like about Gary V. Gary V. says, when people say that they want his services, and he goes to your social media profile and sees you taking pictures with like a G wagon and some $3,000 purse, but you're trying to ask him for free advice or free mentorship. People are paying attention to stuff like that. So I just want all of y'all to be aware, if you're trying to pretend publicly that you got it together, but then you're asking for a free ticket or a free meeting or a free 30-minute session, right? People are looking at stuff like that, and you're showing basically two sides. So I want to be cognizant of these things, because we are giving people a way to meet us, to engage with us. We're inviting you, and people are still like refusing to accept the invitation. So you're not going to necessarily get the things the way that you want them to happen, but we're giving you a pathway. And so that's what I'm saying for everybody out here. So if you say, "Oh, Eric, well, yeah, you don't get to be in a private meeting on the boat if you don't come to a public meeting at an event." That's just how it works. That's life. Like, that's some basic stuff, right? So we're going to continue doing what we do. Every time I go speak, I was at the Blacks in Technology conference, and I spent a whole day with one of my students, literally, because I didn't know anybody at the Blacks Technology conference. He showed up to that conference. I was there, and I knew zero people, and we spent the whole day together talking, right? So this is the thing that happens, and I'm sharing with people where I'm going. And Travis has said the same thing. His company's going to conference. Learn how do you work with a big business? Look at what he does. I pulled up his page on here, research them, see what they're working on. Like, these are the kind of programs they're working on: test range operations, engineering, logistics services, information technology, training and support, right? And you know what's funny that I like about this? Look at his website. How many of you guys could build a better website than that? But yet they're the ones that are buying $40 million companies, $30 million companies. They're the ones that are doing $300, $400 million contracts. And so when we talk about where we're spending our time and energy, a lot of us are focusing on websites and logos and stuff, instead of actually doing research, understanding what the customer buys, understanding the market, and being able to come and speak to that, right? So that when you meet with them, you can say, "Hey, I understand that you guys recently," and again, it's on here, right? This stuff is on here on websites, and say, "Hey, I understand that you recently won this contract, blah, 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 blah. Hey, I work on these projects. I do this, and that. That's similar to your contract." That's how you do it. So you've met him. You've said he's personable. He said to come out, talk to him. I can tell you, Caesar Nadar, it's been blowing up. People have been reaching out to him, but people have been reaching out to him with like pity stories. Like, no one wants to hear a pity story, right? That's not going to convince a CEO to want to do business with you by saying that somebody in your family's sick, or you're poor, or you're broke and you need help and free mentorship. Nobody wants that. It's not attractive. Would you want someone to come to you that way? So why do you people come to people that way? So please, I'm just telling you what I've seen on some of the backgrounds where people have been messaging and giving these really sad stories, hoping that you can convince somebody to do business with you or work with you because of your hardship, your conditions. Nobody wants that. Show up and tell them how you can help them grow, scale, meet some requirements, provide a solution. And that's what people want to hear. That's the people that want to talk to. That's going to get you a call back, an email back. That's going to get you another meeting. That's going to get you a private session, a Zoom call. And like again, the first time that I met Travis and we went out with a group of guys on a boat, all of us 2 years later are still connected. 2 years later. So that's how these things go. And now, 2 years later, when I decided to have my first summit, who's my gold sponsor? The guy that I met 2 years ago. So it happens like that. But it's not going to happen for all of you who are not making that sacrifice to come out and be present and show yourself. So thanks so much. I'm going to stop talking now, and I will see everyone next time. Looking forward to it. And I'll keep sharing and keep posting and keep putting content out there. So thanks, everyone. Best of luck. Hope you have a successful week. Hope you have a successful month. It is the last final days of the fiscal year. So I hope it rain falls on contracts on everybody's head. Good night.